You may think you've seen big wireless installations, but how would you like to serve tens of thousands of demanding users in a setting that truly redefines mission critical? To find out, today we've come to Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts, to see what it takes to get a really big wireless game on the air. I'm Craig Mathias with the wireless and mobile advisory firm Farpoint Group, and welcome to another edition of Farpoint Focus, where we examine the most important new technologies, products, and applications in mobility today. Gillette Stadium is hallowed ground, the home of the New England Patriots. When full, and it always is on game day, over 68,000 fans can enjoy one of America's great sports. But with the game always available almost everywhere in glorious HD video, enhancing the fan experience has, in recent years, become a top priority for the Patriots organization. Fred Kirsch, Vice President of Content and Publishing, had the enviable task of thinking up the next big thing in football and implementing it on what can only be described as a grand scale. We jumped at the opportunity to speak with Fred and to learn from his experience. When you decided to explore ways to improve the fan experience, what were your objectives and where did you start?
Well, I think, there's a lot of things that make up the fan experience on game day. And over the last few years, your phone is one of them. People expect connectivity. And over the last few years, we've had a terrible situation when it came to that because we're just relying on cellular carriers. And just simple things as making a text at halftime when everybody else is trying to do the same thing just didn't happen. So Wi-Fi is the way to offload that and share that load, as well as being able to deliver new, rich content. Up to last year, the technology was to a point where if you put it in, the experience may not be that good. But starting this year, we felt comfortable after meeting with Enterasys and working with their engineers. We felt comfortable that, okay, we're ready to do this. We're ready to put in a Wi-Fi network where on day one, our customers and our fans will be happy with the experience. And as you know, first impressions are very important. And when it comes to technology, a lot of times you'll use it the first time, it doesn't work, you'll forget about it. We had to make sure that that experience on day one was such that people would be happy with it and be ready to use it again.
We asked Fred about the key applications he's deploying today.
Right now, the Patriots have several apps. Now that we have the Wi-Fi, we've introduced the NFL Red Zone, so people that are at the game have exclusive access to that, which I don't know if you're familiar with the NFL Red Zone, but it basically gives you live highlights of games in progress throughout the league. So you could be here at the Patriots watching this game, but if you have an interest in another game, you hop on your phone, and chances are if they're in the red zone or something important is happening at that game, you'll see it live right on your phone, and people love that. The other thing we do is we give them live stats right from the press box right here. So literally, as the press box is getting the stats, you're getting them on your phone. And for people that are in fantasy leagues and things like that, that's critically important. They need to know what's going on with the stats. So those are some of the things that we're offering in the bowl right now, as well as our the usual content that we do on a day-to-day basis.
We asked Fred about the scope of his wireless deployment.
We put in over 300 antennas and access points throughout the stadium. We have basically 3 levels. So throughout those 3 levels, about 300. And then because of the length, the distance between those access points in our main server room that goes out to the internet, that length is too far for the cabling. So we had to build intermediary, what we call IDFs, in between. We have 10 of those, as well as an MDF, which is sort of a mini main server room in between the real main server room. So that's one of the things that you have to be flexible in. Any stadium's different. Depending on where your main server is in relation to where the access points are, you have to be creative and figure out, what can I do to, eliminate that distance problem.
So where do you see all of this going in the future? What's next on your agenda?
Well, that's going to be phase 2. Now that we have the infrastructure, is looking at, okay, beyond what the league allows us to do, what type of content can we give the fans next year? So, now the fans are familiar with the Wi-Fi, hopefully they're familiar with their phones. Now we'll feel comfortable saying, okay, now that you have Wi-Fi, here's really cool stuff that you can use. And all that's to be determined. For the last 2 years, we've been giving our club members live exclusive camera angles and live replays and video that you can't get anywhere else. We'll probably take that and introduce it to the rest of the fans next year.
Pat Curley, Vice President of Information Technology for the Kraft Group, expanded on the critical role that wireless plays at Gillette Stadium.
What are the key challenges and issues involved in keeping a wireless LAN of this magnitude up and running?
I think bandwidth is one of the key issues, and so we've got expandable or burstable bandwidth available. So if there is a need for a lot of people are suddenly taking a picture of something spectacular, we can burst to meet the needs. And we don't have unlimited bandwidth, needless to say, but we can burst as high as the demand is going to be, we believe, until we see that that's not true. There's weather conditions, and there's wind conditions, and there's the kind of clothing people are wearing, and there's the interference of Wi-Fi with human bodies, the signals passing through that. There's a lot of steel and concrete in a stadium, which can introduce some different challenges than in a glass high-rise downtown. So there are lots of things, and our partner has been terrific in helping us zone in and giving attention to each individual antenna as they focus them to meet the layout.
300 access points and 10,000 users already today. And really just a glimpse at the exciting future enabled by large-scale wireless LANs. For Farpoint Group, I'm Craig Mathias. Thanks for joining us today.